Good day. It's exactly 3 p.m. here in Cairo. Time for the news. I'm Yunayir and I'm joined by my dear colleague Amal Mukhtar. Good afternoon, Amal.
Good afternoon, Shireen. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We start our news with the headlines. President Sisi condoles friend Trump over jet collision. Prime Minister Madbouli reiterates Egypt's rejection of Palestinian forced displacement from Gaza. And Hamas hands over 3 more hostages as a third exchange begins along Gaza ceasefire deal.
President Fattah al-Sisi on Thursday offered his condolences to the United States leadership and people after a passenger jet carrying 64 people crashed into Washington's Potomac River yesterday when it collided mid-air with a military helicopter. Via his social media account, the president said he extended sincere condolences to his friend, U.S. President Donald Trump, and to the bereaved families of the crash victims, praying to God to grant them patience and solace.
In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs offered its hearty condolences to the bereaved families of the victims of the collided planes. The ministry asserted Egypt's solidarity with the United States government and people in this painful incident. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today held expanded talks with Iraqi Prime Minister Mahmoud Shaya al-Sudani and in Baghdad in the attendance of a number of high-ranking officials from both countries. The two prime ministers also chaired the third Joint Higher Committee meeting, which aimed at discussing enhanced bilateral ties along with a set of regional and international issues of mutual concern. To the same end, the two sides have witnessed the signing of some cooperation memoranda in different fields. The two prime ministers then addressed a press conference where Madbouli reiterated Egypt's firm rejection of the forcible displacement of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. The Prime Minister also conveyed President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's greetings to Iraqi President Abdel Latif al-Rashid. In the course of this visit, the Prime Minister is due to attend an economic forum which will be attended by Egyptian and Iraqi businessmen on reviewing possible cooperation opportunities in various domains, particularly in the trade and investment aspect.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Migration and Egyptian Expatriates Affairs Badr Abdullah asserted Egypt's continued efforts to hold a ceasefire agreement in Gaza and to end humanitarian suffering of its people. The minister made the remarks in the inaugural session of the annual conference of the Egyptian Council for Humanitarian Affairs. Egypt's top diplomat hinted at the unprecedented challenges marring the region and the Palestinian cause in particular. He also pointed out that the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees will play an irreplaceable role in the post-war recovery in Gaza Strip.
Palestinians of the Hamas resistance group began handing over 3 Israeli hostages in Gaza today in return for 110 Palestinian prisoners to be freed under the phased-in agreement that halted 15 months genocide war in the coastal territory earlier this month. Hamas officials said that the Palestinian prisoners, who include 30 minors and some members of Palestinian groups convicted with the the lifetime imprisonment will be taken to the West Bank or Gaza later in the day. 5 Thai nationals, among those taken in October 2023, are also expected to be freed from Gaza in separate agreement. The occupation military still lists 89 captives in Gaza, with around 30 declared dead in absentia.
Crowds of displaced Palestinians made their journey back to heavily destroyed northern Gaza for a 4th day under fragile ceasefire to end 15 months genocide war in Palestinian enclave. Despite the joyous atmosphere that overwhelmed Gazans after the move, Palestinian government officials described the displaced ordeal, citing a massive devastation of 90% of their homes and a lack of tents to shelter them. They called on local authorities to access tents along with aid convoys to shelter the returnees.
Palestinian Health Ministry said that an Israeli occupation airstrike have killed 10 Palestinians in the area of Tubas in the northern West Bank. The ministry said that the occupation forces also killed 2 people in separate overnight raids in West Bank, including one in Jenin, where the Israeli occupation military is conducting a major offensive, and another in northern city of Tulkarm. Israeli occupation troops and illegal settler attacks have killed at least 863 Palestinians in the West Bank since the start of the genocide war in Gaza.
The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees said that it will have to move its staff from Al-Quds after Israeli occupation authorities sealed the agency's operations office in the occupied Old City. The Israeli occupation has said it will sever ties with the UNRWA, alleging that the aid agency provided cover to Hamas operatives, a move likely to hamper delivery of its vital services after 15 months of genocide war in Gaza. According to an Israeli occupation legislation, the agency will be banned from operating on Israeli-occupied Palestinian soil, particularly in Al-Quds, and contact between it and Israeli occupation officials will also be forbidden.
Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani arrived in Damascus today and was welcomed by interim President Ahmed Al Shara. The Emir is the first head of state to visit Syria since Bashar al-Assad's fall. The trip comes a day after Shara was appointed interim president for the transitional period in Syria. In a speech at the event, Shara said that Syria's priorities are filling the power vacuum, preserving civil peace, rebuilding state institutions, and working to construct a development economy.
And Lebanese official media said an Israeli occupation strike hit South Lebanon the second consecutive day to see such a raid despite ceasefire between the occupation forces and Hezbollah. The report came a day after Lebanon's health ministry said strikes by the occupation troops on different areas across the country wounded at least 24 people. Under the November 27 truce deal, the Lebanese military was to deploy in the south alongside the United Nations peacekeepers as Israeli occupation withdrew over a 60-day period which ended on Sunday.
Welcome back. We continue our news bulletin as the East African Community Bloc have urged an immediate ceasefire in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Rwandan-backed M23 movement seized the city of Goma, extended their advance today, and Congo said it planned a campaign to recover lost territory. The United Nations Security Council similarly demanded a halt to the movement offensive earlier this week, despite a flurry of democratic activity, including the United States telling Rwanda that it was deeply troubled by Goma's fall and Germany cancelling aid talks with Rwanda. No apparent effect witnessed on the ground.
And Ukrainian Interior Ministry said that a Russian drone attack that targeted cities across Ukraine killed at least 4 people in the eastern city of Sumy. Separately, the Ukrainian
Now with the economy news, as Egypt's bourse opened higher today, the weekend session aimed amid purchases by local investors against sell-offs by Arab and foreign investors. The market capital of listed companies have reached £2.232 trillion at the transactions that stood at £29.6 billion. The benchmark's index EGX 30 rose 0.47%. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and EGX 100 climbed 0.49% and 0.51% respectively.
And the French economy grew 1.1% in 2024, but shrank in the fourth quarter as a political crisis gripped the country after a boost from the Paris Olympic Games. The Eurozone's second biggest economy performed worse than expected in the fourth quarter as it contracted by 0.1%. The economic downturn coincided with a period of political turmoil as Michel Barnier resigned as Prime Minister in December after his government failed to win support for an austerity budget to shore up the country's shaky finances.
Oil prices ticked higher today, regaining some composure after U.S. crude closed at the lowest level this year overnight. The near-term focus on U.S. President Donald Trump's possible tariffs on Canada and Mexico, the two largest suppliers of crude to the United States. U.S. crude futures rose 0.2% to $72.73 per barrel, and Brent crude futures added 0.1% to $76.64 a barrel.
And Egypt secured the fifth place at the World Men's Handball Championship with their final ranking determined after Portugal's historic qualification to the tournament semi-final against Germany. The result also placed Germany sixth in the handball world ranking, thus is the second best position for the national team in the history of its participation in the World Championship after achieving the fourth place in 2021. Following an impressive comeback in the quarterfinal, Egypt lost to France with 34-33 and exited the 2025 IHF Men's Handball World Championship.
Manchester City kept their Champions League champion alive as they scrapped
And Liverpool's 100% record in the Champions League ended when they lost 3-2 at PSV Eindhoven. Despite the loss, only the third of the season in all competitions, Liverpool topped the group stage with 21 points, 2 ahead of Barcelona, who could only draw their last game against Atlanta. PSV will have to take their chances in the playoffs as they finished in 14th place. Well, dear viewers, that's all for the news. I'm Shina Adel, and I'd like to thank my colleague Amal Mukhtar. Thank you, Amal.
Thank you very much, Shireen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for following us in this news bulletin. Thank you for watching.